Hello again. I'm doing another video. This time it's on the AVM that I had back in 2009. As you can see, AVM stands for Arteriovenous Malformation. It can form really anywhere. It can form inside your arm, it can form inside your face, it can form anywhere, really, your legs, whatever. Mine happened to form in my brain. And rather ominous fact about this was right here. Symptoms of an AVM vary according to the location of it. Roughly 88% of people affected with an AVM are asymptomatic, which means they don't show any symptoms of it. And often the malformation is discovered as a part of an autopsy. So that's a pretty scary thought. Especially if you got one in your brain that's actively bleeding like mine was. But I'm doing this video a little bit differently because I wanted to have some visual aids move along. Basically what happened was the week leading up to Thanksgiving in 2009, actually the week before, it was the Sunday night. I worked Monday, I worked Monday, Tuesday, and half a day Wednesday because I had to work the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And we have to also work 4 hours of the Saturday of the following weekend when we worked the weekend the week before. I was working at the Habersham Medical Center pharmacy at the time as a pharmacy technician. That Sunday, I went to bed because I had to be in work that Monday morning. And I had this really bad pain in my back. I don't know what it was, but I didn't get any sleep. But I went on into work that day and, I struggled through and made it with no sleep. I thought, I'm going to get some sleep tonight. Well, that Monday night rolls around. I have to go back into work that Tuesday. Tuesday's usually my day off. I'll get to that in a minute. But that night, for some reason, I had developed a cold. Now, one of my coworkers had told me that usually if they have some kind of a bad problem like that, like their back hurting or something, it's usually a sign of something else to come. So I'm like, well, that's pretty ominous. I appreciate it. So that Monday I go to bed, but I can't sleep because I have a pretty bad cold. I mean, the cold's awful. Hadn't had a cold like that in a long time, but I wasn't able to sleep that night either. But I went on into work Tuesday. Same thing, just tired. And I told that girl, you were right. It was a sign of something bigger. My back's not hurting anymore, but now I've got this super bad cold. So I go back to, I finish up work that Tuesday. I do work all day, having little sleep the past 2 days. But I do go back to work that Wednesday. I go home Tuesday and go to bed. Once again, have a hard time sleeping because this cold seems to be getting worse and worse. But Wednesday I only had half a day, so I wasn't that worried about it. About 2, 3 o'clock, I think I left and went on home. I had Thursday and Friday off. I was going to just take it easy those days and not worry about doing anything. So that's what I did. I just took it easy and didn't really do anything. So Friday night rolls around. I gotta be back into work Saturday, and I'm not feeling any better. So I went to bed, but I couldn't sleep much again. I hadn't slept much the other 2 nights either. Like, man, this cold just keeps getting worse and worse. But on the weekends, you're pretty much the only one there. It's just you and a pharmacist. Through the week, you have maybe 2 or 3 pharmacists and about 5, 6, 7 techs. So, I mean, you got plenty of help through the week, but on the weekend, it's one pharmacist, one tech. I was the one tech. Of course, the person that worked the weekend before was supposed to come in for 2 hours or 4 hours that Saturday. And she's one that she likes to be cautious. Like, are you busy or whatever? So she called and asked if we needed her to come in. Well, I wasn't feeling good, and EMS had messed up one of their med carts. They had left it in the ambulance with the air conditioner on, and everything froze. And that had to be gone through because they needed it back. So she calls and she says, "Do y'all need me?" And I told the pharmacist, I said, "Do we need her?" She said, "Yes. You don't feel good and we got that cart to do." So I told her, "Yeah, we need you. Come on in." So she said, "Okay, I'll be in." Well, she comes in and she does the cart. And the pharmacist, she had done told me, she was great. She had done told me that she would do the mixing all the IVs and stuff because she knew I felt bad and she was going to try to get me out of there early. Now, the other person that come in for 4 hours, she offered to stay and let me go home, which was very nice, but I thought, well, I'm already here, so I think I'll be fine. So I go ahead and work the rest of the day. Like I said, the pharmacist said she was going to try to get me out of there early. We leave at, I think it's 4 o'clock on the weekends. Anyway, but she was going to try to get me out of there by about 1:32, somewhere around there. But it didn't happen. The other person had left about 12, I think. 12:30, something like that. But then we got really busy. And I mean, I was running around all over the place. Didn't feel good, but nothing I could do. She was already gone. Place got busy. We didn't even get out there till like 4:30. So I mean, we was even a half hour late, let alone getting out early. But Sunday rolls around. This time no help, but we didn't have no EMS box to go through either. So she said same thing. She's going to try to get me out there early. Well, same thing happened again. We got busy. Didn't get to leave early. Still felt like crap. Plus, I had to be back in that next day. But I persevered and made it through the day. All right, now we're at the week of Thanksgiving. So I go home that afternoon. Like I said, we got out there about 4:30 again. So I go home and I just still don't feel good. But I keep thinking this cold, it'll go away. I'm not going to have this cold forever. It'll go away. But I went ahead and went home, and I went to bed about the normal time. Sunday, got up Monday morning, I still felt bad. I was like, man, this cold just won't go away. Something has got to give. But the cold was there to stay, apparently. So I went on into work that Monday. Felt like crap, but Tuesday was my normal day off, so I was off Tuesday. So Monday night I went home and I didn't go to sleep particularly early. I got up and went on into work. I got up a little later than I normally would. I just still didn't sleep good because of the cold, but that day I just decided to lay around the house. I didn't want to do anything. I was going to try to get over this cold so I could go back into work Wednesday and be fine. I was off Thursday because it was Thanksgiving, but I had to work Friday and then 4 hours Saturday. So I was wanting to get rid of this cold. So I sat on the couch and just relaxed, and then I got this bad headache all of a sudden. It just come from nowhere, and it was like nothing I'd ever had before. It was awful. So I asked Mom if she had some Tylenol. I popped a couple Tylenol, and it just wasn't cutting it. I can't even describe to you how bad this headache was. I don't know what a migraine feels like, but I would imagine this was about like a migraine, or maybe even worse. I don't know. But eventually, as afternoon drove on, the headache went away, and I thought, it sure took a long time for that Tylenol to work. So, so I go to bed that night because I got to be into work Wednesday again. So I go into work Wednesday. Well, actually, Tuesday also, another thing I need to mention, while I was watching TV, looking at the screen like watching the news or something, it's kind of hard to describe, but you know how people are telling the news kind of like I'm sitting here right now talking to you. It was like there was a hole where their left eye was supposed to be. I was like, what the heck is this? It's like there was a hole in my vision or something. It was weird. Needless to say, it made watching TV rather spooky, but there wasn't nothing I could do about it. But I went on into work that Wednesday, and then I realized that I couldn't make out words. Some words I could, some words I couldn't. And when you're working in pharmacy, you're dealing with drug names that are huge. And these are 100-point Scrabble words or something. These words are huge. And I couldn't make them out. I couldn't read hardly anything. And they said, well, do you need to go get your eyes checked? And I said, no, it's just this cold. It won't go away. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of a cold that causes you to have vision problems. And I said, well, something's happening here. This one sure is. But I didn't tell anybody about the headache or the problems with watching TV. Just kind of avoided the IV room and made a lot of med error mistakes in pulling meds. And they were all caught by the pharmacist, luckily. So I finish out that day, and I'm off Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. And the reason why I'd never worked Thanksgiving, I'd been there for, I think, two Thanksgivings. I didn't work the previous Thanksgiving. That was my second Thanksgiving. I didn't work yet. And that's because I always volunteered to work Christmas Eve because I didn't have any family anyway. So I always volunteered to work Christmas Eve. So I was working Christmas Eve that year, and I'd worked the previous Christmas Eve. So she cut me some slack on Thanksgiving both years. So anyway, Thanksgiving morning, I get up. Still got a little bit of the cold. It's not quite as bad. Vision's pretty rough still. Looking at the TV Wednesday night, it was bad. Spooky. It was like watching a horror movie or something, like The Ring or whatever. I mean, it's like part of these people's faces were missing, but move on. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving. I wake up. I'm hungry. Dad, he's already ate. So I tell him I'm going to go to McDonald's and get me something to eat and come on back. Mom used to cook breakfast, but she was cooking a full-on Thanksgiving meal this time, so decided not to do the breakfast because that's a lot of work. You do Thanksgiving and Christmas, or Thanksgiving, the big meal, turkey dressing, all the trimmings, and have to do breakfast on top of that. So we didn't do that. So I went on to McDonald's and ate. And then I decided I'd go to Walmart because I still had some. We done like a Secret Santa at work, and I had to get a gift for somebody there. I got Glenn Beck's book, The Christmas Sweater, because I figured we'd be exchanging gifts for Christmas anyway. It's a small book. The person I give it to would have plenty of time to read it if they felt the need to do so. But anyway, I got that, and I think I bought a couple DVDs. In fact, I know I bought a couple DVDs. One of them was Angels and Demons, and the other one was Star Trek, but that's unimportant information. I come back home and sit down on the couch, and Dad's listening to Sirius XM on his computer through the little speakers, which sounded horrible. And next thing I know, I got one of them bad headaches again, just like I had Tuesday. So I asked him, "Can you turn that off?" He said, "I knew once you come home, this wouldn't last long." So we're all time cutting up with each other. I miss him a lot, but anyway, he cut it off, and I asked Mom for some Tylenol. And once again, this headache was really hanging on. So I thought, well, I'll just call up the pharmacy where I work. So I called up there to ask somebody if they had any experience with migraines and what I could do about it. And she said, "Well, if your head's hurting that bad, you probably should come into the ER." And I said, "Well, I took Tylenol. I'm just wondering if there's something stronger I can take over the counter. I can run out and get it." And she's like, "Well, there's not really anything if you've already taken Tylenol and it ain't doing anything. You come in. Plus, there's only certain things I can take anyway because I take warfarin for the heart valve, and certain medications will thin your blood, like aspirin or naproxen or ibuprofen." So there wasn't really anything else I could take. So she said, "You really should come up here to the ER." I'm like, "Well, they're busy because I feel awful." And she said, "Well, they're not too busy. I was just up there a few minutes ago." So I said, "Okay, I'll go on over there." She said, "Now don't you drive." And I said, "Why not?" Of course, that's a stupid question because you shouldn't be driving if you're having a bad headache and you can't see good anyway. I'd already done that morning. It's really stupid. Think about it. So I said, well, my dad's here. He can drive me. She said, okay. But if you need me to, I can call my husband and he can come pick you up and carry you down there. I said, no, Dad's downstairs. He can carry me. And she said, okay, but don't let me hear that you drove here by yourself. I said, you won't. I won't. It's fine. I'll be there. I'll have Dad bring me. So I come back downstairs and I say, well, their advice is for me to go to the ER. So I went to the ER. And by the time I got there, the headache was still, it was bad. And like I said in the previous video, we live about 25 minutes away from there. Dad drove and parked and then went on up to go sign in, and there was nobody in the waiting room, so that was pretty good. But I couldn't see the paper to even sign in. So I had to get Dad to do that for me. And then they called me in and done the triage stuff, check your blood pressure, ask you questions, temperature, all that stuff. And then they took me to one of the rooms. And a little while later, a woman comes up in a wheelchair and takes me back to the CT room to do a CT scan. And then they bring me back, wave at Dad as I go out, wave at him again as I come back. By this time, the headache's starting to fade out a little bit. So I'm thinking, well, shit, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have come up here, but oh well, I'm here now. And then the doctor comes in and he says, we get maybe 100 cases a day. People come here like you with a headache, and we give them something for the pain and then send them on their way, which is what we're probably going to do with you. So I'm like, okay. But he said, first I want to see the results of the CT scan. So he says, I'll be right back. And he leaves. And he's gone for about a minute or so, and well, maybe a couple minutes, I don't know. And then he comes back in and he starts to talk, and the nurse brings Dad in. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not good. And he tells me that there is some kind of mass in your brain. And we don't know what it is, but it's 3.5 centimeters in diameter. And we don't have the capability here of working on it. And he says, we get 100 people come in here, and maybe one time somebody has a real problem. And this time you're it. And I'm like, oh Lord. So he says, we can either send you to Northeast Georgia Medical Center in Gainesville as a neuro team, or we can send you to, I think it's Athens Regional Hospital, which is way far away. I didn't want to go there, so I said Northeast Georgia Medical Center. This was before I hooked up with Emory again. If I'd been with Emory, I would have went down there, but my heart doctor was in Gainesville anyway, so I thought, well, I'll just go to Gainesville. And Dad's sitting there with me, and they're starting to put IVs in me and stuff, and I'm like, I guess they're going to get an ambulance to take me down there, so I guess you were to head on home and get Mom. She was cooking Thanksgiving dinner that nobody really got to eat. My brother and his wife and kids come up there, and tried to eat at it, but they were all worried about me, so I ruined Thanksgiving that year. It's been kind of a joke ever since, but at least we can laugh about it. So, anyway, they take me on down to Gainesville, and since I take blood thinner, they've got. I hadn't took my dose yet for the day. That would have been the first thing they would have stopped that. But since I hadn't took my dose for the day, they had to instead figure out a way of thickening my blood back up. So they done that, and they knew they was going to have to operate on it pretty quick because this one had started to bleed. They run several MRIs and CT scans that night, and a couple the next day. And then Saturday, they finally had my blood thick enough to where they could operate. And they took me into surgery. I don't remember what time it was. It was Saturday. I don't remember what time it was, but I'd already had 2 open heart surgeries, and that didn't scare me. What scared me was the thought of brain surgery. It was a total unknown to me, and I did start crying as they wheeled me away for surgery because I had no idea what was going on. This is a CT scan showing a hemorrhage due to an AVM. That's kind of what mine was doing, but I don't think it was quite this extreme. Seems to be a pretty good bit of blood in some of these pictures. That really can be dangerous. Mine had started to bleed, but I don't think to this extreme. Besides that, this looks a whole lot bigger than mine. I don't know. I did have my CT scan somewhere, but I don't know where it is anymore. They gave me a copy of it on CD, but that's kind of what one looks like. Mine was on the opposite side of where that one is, that little wide area. Mine was on the opposite side. It was on the left side. Doesn't seem to be on the right side. And that's kind of a drawing of what an AVM looks like. Just clustered up veins and arteries together, and sometimes they rupture, which is what mine was doing. That's why they had to operate on it pretty quick. So, there's another CT scan. It seems to be on the right side also, which is opposite side of mine, but that one also seems pretty big, and it pretty much goes right up to the middle of the brain. That one looks pretty rough. I don't think mine look like that. The CT scans that I've seen are after they removed it, and it's just like there's a hole there where it was. Like I said, the doctor said it was 3.5 centimeters in diameter. And I guess that's an x-ray of one that's bleeding. That's probably close to what mine looked like. I don't know. I've never seen an x-ray of one until I found this picture. That one's a little bit further into the brain than what mine was, but these are just examples of it. Of course, I don't know exactly where mine was. I know it was somewhere on the left side of my head because that's where the scar was. Well, where the scar is. It feels weird. I've got a picture of that. I'll show you the scar too. It's the draining vein, the AVM, of course, feeding arteries, But that's pretty much it on the. That's a picture of the scar on the back of my head. This is after I got home. My tag's sticking out on the back of my shirt, but see, I must have gotten home on December 6th. I was sitting down, I felt pretty rough, but. And that's me. That's where they put the central line in for the IV. Well, it's over here, I guess. And that's the way I looked right afterwards. But, yeah, that's the scar, and it was all rippled up. What surprised me about it was they didn't shave my head to do this. They just clipped my hair down real short. I was pulling little tiny pieces of hair out of that scar for months, I guess. I don't know why they didn't just take the clippers and then take a razor and just shave my head right there, but they didn't. It's aggravating. But right now I'm going to go over some of the things that they don't tell you about. And that's me last year, I believe. But some of the things that doctors, at least these doctors, didn't tell me about, because I was out of work from, well, Thanksgiving until, seems like it was the beginning of February of the following year, 2010. And when I went back to work in the pharmacy, I mean, I was fully released by all the doctors involved, the heart group. They were satisfied with my clotting factor on my blood. The neurosurgeon was satisfied with it. Of course, I had to go back and see him a time or two, but after like the third visit with the neurosurgeon, they let me go. But she wanted me to see an eye doctor. So I did go see the eye doctor, and my vision was pretty bad the first time. The second time I went and seen her, for some reason she said my vision had improved and she didn't need to see me again for another year, and to call and set up that appointment. But I didn't bother to ever set up the appointment because I don't know. I just didn't. And she had me wearing glasses with the prism on over one lens for a while. They were just reading glasses. They weren't prescription or anything. It was just a little sticker that went over the glasses, over the glass lens, which was supposed to improve my vision, but I couldn't see crap through them, so I didn't really wear them much. And besides that, it wasn't helping anyway. I pulled the little sticker off, and then I could make out words. I could see the words, but I couldn't see. I couldn't really make out some words. It was like they were scrambled in my brain, and I couldn't really, it was hard to explain that to anybody. Plus, after I got back to work, I had a lot of memory loss. I couldn't remember how to do the drug calculations anymore for going into the IV room, which was odd because it was stuff I could do without any problem before. But I just couldn't do it anymore. I don't know why. I just couldn't do them anymore. So I talked to the director in the pharmacy. She told me I need to go back and see the neurosurgeon, which she had done let me go forever. She didn't need to see me again, but she didn't tell me any of this other stuff was possible. And she brought me in. She wouldn't release me to go back to work because I obviously couldn't, not in a pharmacy setting. There's too much liability there, and I would have felt horrible if I'd done something and somebody died, and I couldn't live with that on my conscience. So I left there, and she wanted me to come back again a few weeks. So I did, but then she wanted me to take this cognitive test, something over at the rehab center, which I did. And I done this test, and then she got the results of it, and I went back and seen her, and she said, "You weren't even close to passing this test." So I knew something bad was wrong with my memory, and there was nothing else I could do. I couldn't go back to work in the pharmacy. She did say I could go back to work in the pharmacy, but I couldn't do anything with the medications, which I knew wouldn't fly with the director. So I went in there and talked to her, and she said, "Well, if that's what she said, I don't know what else we can do." So I handed her my badge and said, "Well, I'll have to figure something out." But I didn't quit. I just went on leave, medical leave. Well, actually, I couldn't go on medical leave because you've got to wait a year before you can do a medical leave again. And I'd just been on medical leave for the surgery. This all was in about August, I guess, of 2010 when all this was going on. And I mean, I was just heartbroken. I was like, was my career, my chosen career, pharmacy technician. And now I can't do it anymore. Don't know how to do it. So I'm heartbroken about it. So I just piddled around for a couple days trying to figure out what I can do. I put in application a few different places, hoping to find another job, but nobody was calling me. So I called back to the hospital and I said, "Do y'all have a job in another department that's not clinical that I could do? Maybe in environmental services or housekeeping, that's environmental services, laundry, or maybe even the kitchen, dietary." And she said, "We don't have anything right now, but I'll keep you in mind if something comes open." And later on that day, the boss lady over at Environmental Services called me and asked me if I wanted a laundry job. It was a transporting linens to the floor. So I said, "Okay." And she said, "You'll have to go get a sign off from your doctor saying you can do this." So I said, "Okay." So I went by the doctor's office, didn't make an appointment or anything. I just went by and brought the paper. and I told them that they wouldn't release me to go back to work in the pharmacy, but the hospital put me onto another job if you would sign off on this paper. And they took the paper and she said, okay. And she filled it out, checked off everything, and said, yeah, you can do that. Is that really what you want to do? And I said, yeah, I can't do anything else. Because I already had to pay for that test that she wanted me to do that I failed. And to take any rehab courses would have cost more money, which I didn't have because I wasn't working. Insurance wouldn't pay for any of that. So they signed off on the paperwork, and I went down to work in the laundry. Transferred from a pretty technical job to a no skill job at all. And I done that for a while until my heart problems started back again. And that was like at the end of 2010 on into 2011 when I had the surgery that I talked about in my other video. And that's pretty much it. But the doctor didn't tell me any of this stuff was possible. Now, I think it was last year in February, I had some problems. In fact, it was February 4th. I had bad double vision problem, which my girlfriend took me down to the ER where I worked. Well, where I used to work. I'd done left there by then. I think my last day of work was April 29th of 2013. This was February of 2015. So that been gone quite a year, and I'm going to try to do another video about getting disability because that's a deep rabbit hole. But anyway, they took me down there, and the double vision, it wasn't going away. They done a CT scan and all that. Now, keep in mind, I had no insurance during all of this. So I'm racking up bills left and right. So then I go down to back to the same place where I saw the doctor that done the surgery. But she's no longer with them. So I saw a different doctor. And her nurse practitioner came in and she asked me all these questions and stuff. And she starts explaining to me all the side effects that can be caused by an AVM. And it's memory loss, balance issues is something else I've been having problems with since. Vision problems. But the surgeon that operated on me, she said she had never seen anything like that in somebody's brain before. So I don't know how skilled she was or anything. I guess I got lucky that she was able to remove it. But she didn't even know what to call it. The first time I'd heard AVM was in February of last year when I went to see this other doctor. And she told me that, yeah, it can cause all that stuff. I mean, I have bad balance problems, vision problems. I mean, I wear these reading glasses whenever I'm trying to read, or everything's just real fuzzy and everything. I can't really make out anything. But I put these on, I can at least read the words I can read. If I come across a word that I can't read, it's like it's scrambled or something. My brain can't process it. And then I've just got to stop. I used to like listening to audiobooks, but I can't concentrate on that anymore. I used to be able to concentrate. I used to could remember a bunch of stuff. I can't do it anymore. I worked at Hardee's for 3 years in the kitchen. They holler back orders. We didn't have no screens back there, so they holler back 2 cheeseburgers on the ketchup, big deluxe, mustard only, all that stuff. I could remember 10, 20, 30 different items, and it wasn't a problem at all. I never missed anything. Like I said, we didn't even have screens back there, but that was in my younger days. A lot of time transpired since then. But just want people to be aware that AVMs are very, very dangerous. They're not cancerous or anything. Mine certainly wasn't cancer or anything, but these can be very dangerous. And I said that 88% of people that are never show any symptoms, and it's usually found in the autopsy. That's some scary stuff. I mean, I actually had symptoms, so it was fine. And luckily, they were able to operate and remove it. So, I hope I'm better for it. I know I'm on disability now, but that's because of the brain issues and the heart issues. Neither one of them separately were enough to get disability, but put them both together, then it becomes a disability problem. So, until I do a video on that, I'm going to say good night. I'll see you on the next video. If you found anything interesting here, toss it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want more. Bye.